Somebody just gave me a Wayne Lee Ray.
Do we need to do a count of how many people get arrested in Washington? Charged?
That's good. A lot of Wayne Lee Rays, I would think. All right, I'm all shared. I don't know about you.
Looking good. Feeling good.
All right, I'm ready.
Let's do a State Farm double check. Yeah.
The discount double check.
We're going to do a poll, your favorite insurance company commercials that just tickle your funny bone every time you see them.
Jake from State Farm.
He's been kind of on vacation for a year or so, hasn't he?
No, he's been around. They replaced him. They replaced him with a hotter, younger version.
All right. Let me do a little. Oh, that's good. Okay.
Okay.
It is the Brad and Britt cast, our fourth and final one for the week. We're glad you're with us here live in the 1:30 Eastern hour and beyond for folks who catch the video later and the podcast later. And those of you who decades from now are listening to us at the Library of Congress, where all of these shows are being cataloged. You know, what is it? The American Film Institute designates movies every year that have to be saved, on 9 different formats all over, so that they'll always exist. That's with us.
Okay, the same deal.
Right. We'll be here forever. So, howdy. Hey, you know what I did yesterday? For the first time, I wore an N95 mask because we ordered 20 of them.
Okay.
And wore one to the store, and it was fine. You know, they're pretty comprehensive there. But I only bring it up because we now have the argument that you should be wearing 2 masks. You should wear one of those, and then whatever your cloth thing is over that. So you do get the State Farm double discount protection, and that's it. I didn't wear 2 yesterday because I hadn't read this yet. But doesn't that seem to make the most sense? If you're going to wear the mask, go all the way and just do it. And I know, and it's a great cross section of America when you watch the House of Representatives and you watch them speechify. You see all different variations of how conscientious people are wearing masks. You see the complete fuck-offs. You see the people who don't want to wear a mask and are pretending they're wearing a mask. They're the not over-the-nose mask people, right? They're the ones that are so loose they have to keep adjusting it every third sentence. It's a good cross-section. And now that we know, and I think we're going to have to come to grips with it. That virus will never really disappear. It's not going to be like smallpox or any of it. It's always going to be around. We're going to be wearing masks for a while. Maybe not the way we have to wear them now, but it's a big deal, and I'm just throwing that out there. What is your mask situation right now, Britt?
The one that I've been wearing most currently does have an inner lining and an outer one. There's a cloth one, and there's an inner thing, and there's a filter that has to be replaced once a month. So that's been good. And that's the one I've been wearing most recently lately. That's one my girlfriend bought a bunch of those, and then she didn't like the way they fit, so she gave it to me. And I've got a filter to replace it in 1st of February. And then you're supposed to buy filters from then on out the rest of your life until you die.
Is that what the instructions say, that they're really good for a month, the filter?
That's what they say. I mean, I don't know if they could be bullshitting me or not. I don't. That one's the one I wear more than anything else, because now at work we're required to wear them all the time, constantly. Doesn't matter what we're doing. We have to, except obviously eating. But yeah, at our workstation and everything else, we have to wear the mask all the time. Mm-hmm. Because the thing is raging right now. I know a few people who have already gotten the vaccination, and I'll be getting mine apparently on the 23rd, so a little bit more than a week away. So we'll see how that goes.
I think at the rate I'm going, it looks that I may have to wait so long that I'll maybe end up just being able to get that Johnson & Johnson 1 and you're done vaccination, which I think is going to be approved in a few weeks. And once that rolls out, it's game on, I think, for a lot of us. I think that's going to be the difference between what you see right now, because you won't have to have a discussion over whether you need to save some for the second shot, and you won't have to keep it at the same temperature that the planet Superman came from, minus 4 billion degrees. You can just keep it in the refrigerator like a beer, and it stays. So that seems to me to be like the game changer. Good, go.
I saw this because I'm always watching, of course, the nightly news. I did see Lester Holt's nightly news, and they were talking about how people are very frustrated. My mom was on the phone, mom is 75 years old, 75, and spent a lot of time on the phone trying, dialing over and over again to get the thing, or either refreshing the page on the internet, one or the other. And it was like very difficult to find, to get the report. A lot of people are finding that. And that's been a huge frustrating thing for Americans right now.
Wait, I got a good joke for that one. Hey, who's running that? The people that started Obamacare, that website?
Oh, yeah. Healthcare.
Remember how that didn't work?
Healthcare.gov or whatever that was. Yeah.
And remember how about 2 weeks later they fixed it?
It was fine. But they kept not shutting up about it. So they were stupid about it. Yeah.
Remember when you had to read the bill to know what was in it? Nancy Pelosi said that, but she didn't really say that, and they keep saying it. I love that.
You keep your doctor if you like him. Have a death panel.
All right. Let's get to the big news. Did you see who they've hired? And I have swung completely over to your side. There should be no gigantic public inauguration. There should not be 50,000 troops assembled in Washington so that the show can be outside instead of inside. You don't want to give the morons, the millions of morons who are loaded to the gills with firepower, bombs, drones, who the fuck knows what else, who would just love to blow up this country next week at the inauguration, kill thousands of people, a mass casualty. I mean, isn't there
was a question in there? There was a question in there somewhere. Who have they hired to what? They've hired what? That's what when you started down that road. So yeah, they should do it. They should be done indoors. I think of the United States Capitol is where they should do it.
I don't think that's not even good, because that makes the Capitol a target for the. I think. Does anyone know where Dick Cheney's old bunker was? Remember when Dick Cheney hid out?
Nobody knew where he was. Nobody knew where he was for the longest time.
Now that Dick Cheney's daughter has been one of the terrific 10 who voted yesterday in favor of impeachment along with the Democrats, she should be able to go to Daddy and say, Daddy, where's the bunker?
Where's your bunker at?
Can Joe Biden, who I'm sure Dick Cheney knows very, very well, whether they're politically opposite of each other, that doesn't really matter.
No.
Age takes care of a lot of things like that. And you would do us a solid. Let's go there. No one will know where it is. We'll get him sworn in. We'll let some TV cameras in there. We'll take pictures of it, and off we go. See, I think about these things. I just don't think, well, okay, let's just not have it outside. Let's put it in the place where there was just a fucking attack 7 days ago. Let's put it in the same place. Same place.
Well, it's an act of defiance, isn't it? It's an act of I don't know, showing the terrorists they can't win if we do it inside the United States Capitol, somewhere in one of the rotundas.
Okay. Guess what? I don't fucking care.
It's not about what you care about.
You know what the we can't do this or the terrorists win. That is right after 9/11. That was you have to go shopping or the terrorists win. We have to do it. Remember, everything was for the terrorists.
Yeah, I think that was a little. They have to go to a restaurant. You have to go to shopping, right?
Well, right. But look, we're extending this all the way now to today and saying, if we can't put on the overly ridiculous, opulent, beyond belief, ceremonial swearing in of a president, then we've lost. That's not what they didn't die with American uniforms on in dozens of wars over the years just for that. That's not what it's all about. It's the idea. The peaceful transfer of power is the most important thing. And the best way right now to guarantee the last bit of peacefully transferring power from Trump to Biden is to make sure that nothing can happen that we don't want to happen. And I just think it's just not worth it. And that bullshit 5-minute video that Trump put out was just bullshit. It didn't mean anything.
It was so bad.
It was just the worst. And just because he's able to read off a teleprompter for about 30 seconds, words that anyone would say, the fact that he has to say, remember, I'm unequivocally against violence. And then played whataboutism and both sidesism, and I'm against all kinds of violence. That's not the issue. That's not the issue. So if he thinks that bought him something, some kind of a temporary reprieve from being tried in the Senate, or it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. And it's not worth the ceremony. It's not worth the ceremony.
No, I agree with that. I think, and it definitely needs to be done. I would like for, again, even if it's done like at an undisclosed location or anything like that. I almost think at this point, the one in DC is not going to be the real ball game. I think they're going to have a softer target with one of the state capitals. Do you agree with that?
I don't think I could agree more, so I won't agree more. But you're correct, and I think there's only a total of 15,000 FBI agents. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's the total. So if you took that and divided it by 50, and that's a tough calculation. I'm just guessing 50 into 15,000 is say 300 agents per state, right? That's about right. Like that. And they can't be on guard duty. They can't invest. There's too much. Yes, state capitals are softer targets, and we now have to realize for sure that what they did in Michigan 8 months ago, that was a trial run.
Yeah, dress rehearsal, whatever you want to call it. Sure.
A trial run over what you can do with
the mitigation on that. If you go back in time and they go, no, we weren't going to harm her. We were just going to, it was going to be more like a citizen's arrest thing. That's what we were going for with that. That became part of the in arrears explanation for these concerned citizens who are after Gretchen Whitmer and trying to, shoot her or kidnap her or do whatever. No. It was going to be more like a citizen's arrest kind of situation. That's what they were looking to do up there in Michigan. Anything about the floor speeches that you heard yesterday? Any nominations for absolute worst? I think Matt Gaetz was screaming at people, and that was like one of the worst things ever.
Yeah, he was nuts. I was, when I had my brand new N95 mask on, I was driving over the store. I happened to catch our new representative, Kathy Manning. She had her 30 seconds, and she said things that you would expect really kind of anyone to, he unfit. He did these things, shouldn't be in office, blah, blah, blah. She got on and got off. She did fine. I guess we have to talk about the 10 Republicans.
Right. The most bipartisan impeachment of all time, right? At least in modern times.
Yeah, except 90% of Republicans didn't vote to impeach Trump.
Of course.
So let's not use the word bipartisan.
It is the most bipartisan one. They had 10 whole Republicans cross over.
Yeah,
and there would have been more, except the other ones were afraid their families were going to be murdered.
Well,
there's one of those things.
Okay, well, which is worse, the stretching of the word bipartisan beyond its intended meaning? And I guess the intended meaning of bipartisan in this world is 50% plus one. Okay, or characterizing the vote back in January against Trump in the Senate as a bipartisan vote to convict him, but not over 50% because the Democrats didn't have the majority because Mitt Romney voted with the Democrat. Does that make it a bipartisan vote? I guess by this idiotic definition, yes, it was a bipartisan vote when one guy. So 10 out of 195 doesn't really get it done for you. But okay, I'll play the game here for just a second. I think the Democrats can walk and fart and chew gum at the same time, and they can run impeachment hearings in the morning and do the business of the Senate in the afternoon beyond that. And this idea that you can't now have a trial because he will be the ex-president is just garbage. It's just garbage. There are precedents of other office holders, maybe not presidents, who have had their impeachment hearings extend beyond their time as judges or as members of the cabinet. I think a Ulysses S. Grant cabinet member was accused rightfully of all kinds of bribery and just dishonest shit. And he was Mr. Tough Guy. And then at the last second, he knew he was about to get impeached. So he ran into Ulysses S. Grant's office. He said, I resign. And they still impeached him after he was gone because he thought that was going to save him. So that one doesn't hold water for me. And you know how you know that it's the correct thing to do to impeach and then hold a trial in the Senate? Because Lindsey Graham says otherwise. Lindsey is whining and complaining.
His main thing was, what are we going to do? Impeach George Washington because he owned slaves? That literally was an argument that he put forward. That literally was something that he said. Wait
a minute. Is that true? Did George Washington?
Yeah, there's a rumor. Lindsey Graham, who just 8 days ago now had said, I've had enough. Fuck you, Rand Paul. I'm done with this shit. And now he's back to, Donald Trump's fine. I don't see what the problem is. Can't we just put him a slap on the wrist and let him go on his way?
Oh, he rode on the airplane down to Texas the other day.
Oh, that was ridiculous.
And as much fun as we have going back and forth, I care about people. I care about people first. And Lindsey, if you're watching or if you're listening, if you're ever on an airplane again with Donald Trump, wear a parachute the whole time. I think it's a good idea. It's just a good idea.
So you are on board with it. I did hear one Democrat say that they should do the ridiculous 100 days, and then after that they can address the impeachment of Donald John Trump. They should have 100 days of whatever, and then do it.
Conceptually, I like it, but the problem is that over those 100 days, the bitching and whining and the undermining of Joe Biden and the administration and any plans that he has, which that's what Mitch McConnell is going to do. Forget anything that he has said. Listen to me closely. Forget anything he has said about, I might actually vote to convict him. I've turned on him. My wife quit last week. That's how bad it was. All these, he is guilty of all of these things. If you think for 1 second, no matter what, based on the fact that death almost came to many Republicans last week, but that didn't deter them. If you think that Mitch McConnell has changed his ultimate goal of regaining the Senate in 2022 by undermining Joe Biden at every turn in any way that he can as the minority leader, and whatever he's saying about the timing of a Senate trial, whatever he is saying about how painfully undecided he is, he just doesn't know. It's agonizing, which of course, right away, you're a disingenuous, lying piece of shit, because this is not a case where you're going to need 4 weeks of witnesses. You're going to have fly in people from East Asia to testify as to what happened. The evidence is all there. That's how we do it. There are fast trials in this country. No, we're not turning into East Germany in 1946 by doing this. Donald Trump has brought this upon himself. The evidence is there not just for the jury, which is the Senate, it's there for the whole country. People know what happened, and Donald Trump needs to be quickly tried and quickly convicted in the Senate. And Mitch McConnell is full of shit, because all it is about trying to screw up the beginning of the Biden administration, as if he's going to be nicer to Joe Biden because, well, at least Joe Biden's a white guy. I don't have to try to make him a one-term president like I did the black guy. No, that's not how it works with Mitch McConnell. And maybe I should be more forgiving. Maybe I should be more for unity right now. But there can be no unity in this country. And Charlie Pierce, the writer for Esquire, he made a great point in a piece a few days ago. He said, look, there can be no unity until this one thing happens. And it's not going to happen, so I don't know that there can be unity. But I think he's right. The Republicans, as a party, as an entity, as a unit, they have to abandon the policy that runs not just from the White House or through the national government, but through every state house, of denying the vote, of shrinking the voting population, of using voter suppression tactics, whether it's through gerrymandering and the voter ID laws and all of the tactics that they have been using, specifically since the Voting Rights Act was gutted about 10 years ago. They've been in full drive to do that, to shrink the voting population, that they have to admit publicly. They have to do a Jimmy Swaggart moment collectively.
The cry and snot and everything else. Yeah.
We were wrong, and people who don't look like us, white Christians, males, white Christian females, even other people have just as much a right to vote. Other people have just as much a stake in the United States and the dream that is America as we do. They have to give that up. They have to give up the policy of white nationalism, of white superiority, basically of Nazism in one sense. They have to give that up before we can have any kind of unity. That was Charlie's idea, and I think there's a lot to that. In other words, let's personify that. The Secretary of State of Georgia, Brad Raffensperger, the guy who a lot of us think really did a great job, did his job, counted the votes, stood up to Trump, basically told him, eat shit and die. I counted the vote. I did my job. That's what I was elected to do. Yes, he did that. Good. And right now in America, we reward people who just do their jobs, who don't knuckle under to a would-be dictator autocrat. That gives him the little Nobel Prize for integrity right now.
It's a low bar, but it's one that we'll take it based on the alternative that we're seeing. Yeah.
At the same time, remember, this is the Republican white male Secretary of State of Georgia, who in concert with the governor of Georgia, who also is on Donald Trump's shit list, but I don't care about Donald Trump's shit list. These guys, their job one, which got put on the back burner for just a moment while they counted the votes in November, their job one has been to screw over as many minorities in Georgia as possible. Brian Kemp is only the governor because he cheated his ass off, and they knocked a whole bunch of black people off the voter rolls in the 2018 election so that Stacey Abrams is not the governor of Georgia. That's what they do. So, yes, it was a moment of doing the right thing, but the real clarity should not be lost on any of us here on what these people have done, will do, and with help now from the 2020 census, they'll probably make it worse. And they'll make it worse in Georgia. And you better believe that inside the halls of Republican meetings in Georgia, if you don't think they haven't vowed, this will never happen again. Holy shit, a black guy and a Jew got elected to the Senate in the state? We really blew it. We did a bad job of suppressing the vote. Little problem, a little thing called Stacey Abrams got in the way, and she did the job. I thought she was going to be named the head of the Democratic National Committee. I was wrong. It's Jamie Harrison of South Carolina.
That's the one.
Great choice also.
Sure.
Fantastic, great choice. A guy with really more political experience in running for office than Stacey Abrams. So I can't complain about that choice for 1 second. I think that's good. I think that's real good by Biden.
Charlie Pierce, by the way, the aforementioned, does make an appearance on the Tiger Woods thing on HBO. He does have a cameo appearance in that particular one. If you want to check that out, part 2 is coming up this Sunday, of course, whenever you want.
Comb his hair for it.
He did a great job. He looks rather unkempt in it.
He's more of a mess than I am.
He is. He does. He truly is. Greg Sargent of the Washington Post, the guy who does the Plumb Line, has a intelligence bulletin that he was able to obtain, and it underscores the stakes of this omission. It says that the lie that the 2020 election was fraudulent could be a key inspiration of domestic extremist violence going forward. This is coming from actual intelligence agencies. And that's what they're saying is going to spur on some of what is anticipated over the next week or so at state capitals, of course, in our nation's capital across America, Brad. It is absolutely true that what Donald Trump has perpetuated, but he's had a lot of help in perpetuating that lie, including Fox News, Mark Levin, Newsmax, One America News Network, and many, many others in the lie that the President of the United States, Joe Biden, and his presidency in the election was illegitimate. And he is that lie is helping to spur on white terrorism across this country.
May I tastefully add to that list you just mentioned, almost the entire Republican Party.
Almost the entire, and you saw them all on parade
right.
yesterday.
So now it gets clearer every day. And I don't know if you've seen Timothy Snyder, the professor from Yale, who wrote the book on tyranny. Mm-hmm. He has made a lot of appearances on both MSNBC and CNN recently. He is the number one go-to guest on the comparisons of the United States deteriorating into fascism as other countries have over the years, and how particularly it happened in Europe in the 1930s in the wake of World War I. And by perpetuating this big lie, the biggest lie of all, that in an election that was clearly on the up and up, that was clearly counted correctly in 50 different states by 50 different entities, thousands of counties, to come to the conclusion that it did, that, and I hate to use the phrase everyone knows is true, because everyone doesn't know it's true, for the president of the country to not only after the election, but remember, leading up to the election for months and months and months and months, it started with the only way I can lose is if they cheat. So the foundation was built a long time ago. In fact, he was saying that before the election against Hillary Clinton. He couldn't lose against Hillary Clinton either. And truthfully, he kind of really did lose, but because of the mistakes that the Clinton campaign made and the third parties and a little help from some country, can't remember what it is.
One of those, yeah, one of those
countries, he drew that world famous inside straight and became the president. But he never stopped. He never stopped saying, I mean, the minute he was elected, he was bitching that, of course, he got more popular votes than Hillary Clinton. There was cheating going on. We need a recount.
Right.
We got to see how many illegal votes. And he put together a phony group of people to, quote, investigate the illicit election that he won. Not smart enough, not enough to just take the win and go on to the next level of the playoffs. No, he stuck with it. But as ridiculous as that was, as irrelevant as it is now that they found nothing, they found no irregularities, and the group was disbanded within a few months because there was no fraud to be found in the election that Donald Trump won, that he hoped he could find so that he could somehow claim that he also had a popular vote victory, which I thought the popular vote doesn't mean anything. Well, it does to Donald. How big is your dick, Trump, right? Right? So it was his sickness of deciding that everyone was sure he was an illegitimate president because of the popular vote. And that's a lie also. It wasn't the fact that he was an illegitimately elected president. He just was elected president under our fucked up rules, which we all accept, which we've accepted for 240 goddamn years. But he can't accept a win. So he stayed with it, right, all the way through. And as we got into 2020, he amped it back up and said, of course I'm going to win. Sleepy Joe is an old man in the basement who doesn't campaign. And you remember, the campaign wasn't that long ago, I don't think. But that baseline of there's no way I can lose, he would say to his rallies. Of course I'm going to win. But if I did lose, I might have to leave the country. But that's a joke, isn't it? Because he would never try to run off to a country that doesn't have extradition with the United States to escape prosecution.
No, forget it. That's not going to happen.
Impeachment might be the best thing that happens to Donald Trump legally over the next few years. That might be the easiest thing for him to move on from. But if you say that the only way you can lose is if the other side cheats and then you lose, well, the other side must have cheated because he told his people and they believed him. So here we are. And, the On Tyranny guy, Tim Snyder, tracks this point by point by point. And we're in a really, really precarious position. But I would now match up the big lie of I won the election, you were cheated, we were stabbed in the back, they took it from us, they took it from you. Match that up with right after World War I, a young Adolf Hitler writing by himself, putting out, and by the way, if Donald Trump getting kicked off of Twitter could have been transferred back to Germany in the 1920s and no one would have ever published Mein Kampf, would we have had Adolf Hitler as a chancellor dictator?
It's interesting. It's interesting.
But anyway, the myth of the stab in the back, blame the Jews for Germany getting screwed over and losing World War
I. Yeah,
and that never went away.
No.
That never went away, and he wrote it. And anti-Semitism, which of course that went away. There's none of that anymore.
No, that did disappear. It certainly hasn't been rampant over the past 4 years for some odd reason.
But by the way, a ton of anti-Semitism on display last week among.
Yeah, they're well. I mean, the guy in the Camp Auschwitz t-shirt alone was.
They're proud of it, but it's pretty interesting. They went out of their way for the most part to not display in a way that the people who marched in Charlottesville did with the tiki torches.
Yeah,
that was a full-on Hitlerian.
Jews will not replace us.
So they've learned their lesson a little bit. You know, they want to brand themselves as a little bit more middle America friendly. You know, you could be here.
Sure.
You could be here for the party. Look at us. We look just like you.
Well,
right? There's a lot of us that look.
But again, like the Camp Auschwitz guy didn't get the memo that he was supposed to try to kind of couch that a little bit. I don't. Right. And I'm not sure where you get that. I don't know if you get where to
get out your message to everybody. Not everybody reads.
It's difficult, even if you're using Signal or whatever you're supposed to use now in order to code your shit. Apparently, the encoded messaging apps, like there's one called Signal, there's one called I think Telegraph. Elon Musk is apparently the one who drove their downloads to go up 5 million% because WhatsApp changed their terms of use, and that pissed a lot of people off. So now the terrorists are having to flee to other apps in order to code their messages.
So this is a question for you. You're a tech expert on the brand.
Oh God, okay. The 50-year-old tech expert. Let's go.
Right. Will it be, in the end, the drama and horrendousness of unintended consequences that Trump was driven off of Twitter and Facebook and the mainstream online communication tools, and as a result, his followers fell away from Twitter in great numbers and are much more careful and are using these impossible to break encoded methods of communications that the FBI or nobody can break into. So they're planning and scheming right now as we speak for next week. And no matter what we think we know, we might not know it. But if Twitter was still in business for the president, they might have been a little bit more cavalier. Is that a possibility, a remote possibility, or no? It's more than worth it to have Trump not blasting away the last few days, which he would have. And apparently they had trouble getting that video out on Wednesday.
Yeah, I saw that. They weren't able to
scrambling to find somebody that would get it out there. You would think he could just call Fox and say, "Here it is, put it up," and then the TV networks all share instantly. But so I'm just amazed because I mean the world existed before Twitter. It existed before Facebook. Communication existed before those things came into being.
Yeah, it used to be that way. It's going to be. It'll be tough. I think it's made law enforcement's job a little bit more difficult in order to go to some of these other ones. But in the, same thing with Parlay. But they still are on some of those websites like 4chan and Reddit and stuff, so they'll be able to track that way. So it could end up being a bad deal. You've read the story, no doubt, that the president unfortunately has had a falling out with the greatest lawyer of all time, Rudolph Giuliani. And he's instructed his aides not to pay Mr. Giuliani's legal bills, Brad. Here's Donald Trump, who always pays his bills to everybody who ever works for him.
Well, there's a first time for everything, Britt.
He has decided that perhaps he does not want to pay Rudolph Giuliani his money, and who could have seen that coming except everyone, including Stevie Wonder, Helen Keller, and any other blind people you'd like to throw in there.
You know what the great part of this story is, besides the obvious, which is the old adage is always true. Said it from the beginning. do business with Donald Trump, no matter who you are. Eventually, it ends in tears.
Yeah, you get screwed.
It gets screwed. Even if you're Rudy Giuliani, who we don't feel sorry for and didn't deserve whatever he thought he could charge Trump anyway. He's a loser. He's a bad lawyer. He's over the hill. He's nothing. But a deal's a deal, and Trump obviously should pay the guy. We know that. But in this case, it's set up now, and you add in all the companies, the banks, the resorts, the TV net, who have already said in the last few days, we're out, we're done, we're not working with Donald ever again. I mean, you lose Deutsche Bank, you're done.
Yeah,
there's nothing. You're going to have to go back to Putin and ask to get a payday loan from Vladimir Putin. Okay?
Can I get an advance? Is it possible?
Right. So with all that in mind now, and I guess you tell me, I don't know if you've seen this. Has Dershowitz tapped out? I saw a story where Dershowitz has already said, no, it's not going to be me defending Trump this time. I don't want to do it. And then I see another story that says, yeah, Dershowitz is going to do it again. So I don't know what that is. I don't know.
I don't either. I haven't seen that either. I don't know who it's going to be.
But the point is, after Trump's out of office, he's going to need more lawyers than are in the phone book of the 10 biggest. He's going to need a whole cadre of them. Is there any lawyer left in this country, any lawyer left who would work for Donald Trump without getting the cash up front, which Donald Trump does not have? We know that. We're sure. I'm sure of it as I am a bald guy. I know he doesn't have the money to pay up front. But what lawyer now, with this story in particular, his lifelong friend, defender, the guy who he went to New York Yankees games with, Rudy Giuliani, he's stiffing Rudy. So
it's sad, isn't it?
You'll have no legal representation. There's no possible way. No way. No way.
From the Washington Post from 7 hours ago by Jacqueline Alemany in the Power Up column, Trump is increasingly isolated after being impeached again, but he's still got Alan Dershowitz, it says. So apparently the Harvard Law School professor emeritus who was part of Trump's legal team during the first impeachment trial is reportedly being considered by Trump to defend him a second time around.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Dershowitz says he has not spoken with Trump recently, seems somewhat open to the prospect, at least in an unofficial capacity.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, the language there to me sounds not very definite.
Wishy-washy.
Very, very wishy-washy.
Dershowitz told Power Up that while he views Trump's speech before and after the response to last week's riot as inappropriate and upsetting, oh my God, Susan Collins hand-wringing line 2, he would defend Trump in the court of public opinion. He does not believe Trump committed an impeachable offense, nor does he think it's constitutional to impeach a private citizen, which Trump will be, of course, starting in less than a week. His legal advice for a prospective client refused to participate, he told us last night, and bring the case to the Supreme Court. I think the best tactic to take if Trump refuses to recognize Congress's authority over him, just say that you have no jurisdiction over me. I'm an ordinary citizen and I refuse to participate. So I want you to think about what that means. First of all, when we went to, I'm the president of the United States, you can't bring a lawsuit against me because I'm the president. So you can't do that. And now I'm not the president and now you can't impeach me. You can't get me here. You can't get me here. That will be the argument for Donald John Trump Sr. in less than a week's time.
Let me get this straight. You're actually saying he's trying to have it both ways?
Exactly, which is stupid as hell and ridiculous. And I can't even believe that that's even going on, but it is. So, yes.
Okay, well, I saw both versions of the story. That sounds a little bit more like Dershowitz might do it, but I don't think he really wants to do it.
Right.
We'll see. But the question is, does Dershowitz work for free?
Don't ever expect to get paid by this guy. If you ever do anything as an independent contractor, I mean, forget it.
And Alan Dershowitz, he's probably about 78 years old now. All right.
Sure.
He's not a young guy. He's probably got plenty of money now. He's probably, he's fine. So would he do this for free? This will not enhance his reputation.
No, and he's already crying about how at Martha's Vineyard he's not invited for wine or whatever.
And if you think you weren't invited before,
exactly,
okay, you're not going to be on double secret probation. Okay, you're going to be on the international pariah shit list along with Trump. Okay, you will not be able to go. You ready for this? You won't even be able to go to the Olive Garden. You like that? Is that funny? Anderson Cooper hates the Olive Garden, which he really doesn't. Okay, there's another Fox News bullshit story, right? You follow that bullshit?
I haven't heard this. What is this about?
I dare you to look up
Let me see.
Anderson Cooper and Olive Garden, because he made an in-passing remark that said a couple of weeks ago, and it was just a general restaurant. It wasn't.
This is a Fox News story, and this is dated. This is dated recently, 6 days ago. CNN host Anderson Cooper continues to face criticism for taking a shot at the popular restaurant chain Olive Garden on Wednesday.
That's Fox News. He doesn't face criticism. You made up the story bullshit. This is what Fox News does on everything. It's something happens, and then the story is your reaction to it. Okay?
Exactly.
And it doesn't matter that we can gin up a fake outrage reaction to it, but that is the story.
We didn't get the part. He goes, on Wednesday after the wealthy anchor, they made sure they told us he was wealthy because we would have thought he was fairly poor.
His mother was Gloria Vanderbilt.
I have no idea. And I'm assuming CNN pays him a couple dollars in salary every year. I'm not sure, but having a primetime show and the other shit that he does, speculated that the pro-Trump rioters who stormed the Capitol probably would head there to eat and drink afterward. Look at them. They're high-fiving each other for this deplorable display of completely unpatriotic, completely against the law, completely unconstitutional behavior. It's stunning, the CNN anchor said. And he's gay too, by the way, Brad. Oh, I just throw that in there. And they're going to go back, to the Olive Garden and the Holiday Inn they're staying at and the Garden Marriott, and they're going to have some drinks. They're going to talk about the great day they had in Washington. They stood up for nothing other than mayhem.
Wait a minute. Why didn't he attack the Marriott Corporation also there? Of course, that had nothing to do. No. He just named a restaurant. He could have said McDonald's. He could have said anything. So they turned that into a thing on all their
Wait a minute. The article continues. Critics of Cooper's comments viewed it as elitist and unnecessary, with one calling it the sort of.
Who are these people?
They're like some guy on Twitter with 5 followers. It's like, shitburger, don't tread on me 7669. He said, one called it the sort of MSM garbage that needs to stop. By the way, Brad, MSM means mainstream media. I don't know if you knew that. I'm not sure if you knew that. Former CNN digital producer Steve Krakauer, who now edits the popular Fourth Watch media newsletter, blasted Cooper for the remark. It's this great example, a case study in how to cede the moral high ground, Krakauer said on Tucker Carlson tonight.
Wait a minute. So you're only reading that one version of. If you find Anderson's answers to it, and he talked about it on TV
right
the next day or so, and you could tell he was being real. He started to go down all the menu items that he loves, from the giant salad and the breadsticks. And obviously, he doesn't dislike the place.
It was just what he said.
This is the fake.
Yeah, the outrage.
Outrage over the elitism, the perceived elitism of everyone who doesn't wear a MAGA hat. Okay.
The evidence that he's completely right about is these assholes stuck around DC and went and saw the sights and tried to fly home Saturday and Sunday, and they weren't allowed to fly home. And then they started crying and shit.
That's called white privilege entitlement. That we actually, and you've seen a lot of them. You've read the stories now.
Yes.
That a lot of them are saying, and their excuses. And I saw several stories about some people from Ohio that went there, because I read this little newsletter every day about Columbus, Ohio. It's very well done, and they put together several stories of people from Columbus who went there, and it looks like it's almost like they've got talking points.
Yeah,
I just went there to see what was happening, or I went there as a citizen journalist.
Right.
So they are trying to distance themselves from the reality of what they were doing and who they are and what they were believing when they got into a car and drove, the 300 miles from Columbus, say, to Washington.
Right.
There's no escaping it. And but we're in a shitload of trouble right now. We're headed into the weekend before the inauguration, where you and I have no idea what's going on behind our backs and behind closed doors and in private chat rooms and private messaging services, and the kind of weaponry and firepower. And thank God Obama didn't confiscate all the guns while he was there in those 8 years. There were some left, and now there's plenty of guns for people to use to defend themselves. But I don't feel good about what's about to happen.
I don't either,
and I don't think there's any reason to believe that any kind of brakes were put on the movement by what Trump said on that phony bullshit video.
No, that didn't do it.
Every time he ever says something that sounds like it's half reasonable, he then adds other items that let you know that he didn't really mean what he just said.
Right.
And his attitude and his body language and the way he stiffly reads the words, they're not his words. He doesn't believe those words. He was told, you have to do this in order to fend off X, Y, and Z. Okay, I'll do that. That sounds like a good idea. But they'll know I don't mean it. And they know he doesn't mean it.
Yeah.
They know he doesn't mean it. He didn't call off the dogs. Not at all. Not at all. All right.
That's our week.
That's our week.
Everybody stay vigilant. Everybody be safe. Keep wearing those masks.
Yep. Two of them if you got them.
Two.